Welcome back to another edition of the Gabagools Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. With me today, the Cuzzo, as always, Dan. Episode 79.
I was just going to say 79 here. We are approaching the 80 range here.
Better
Boy,
start we better get the podcast tested for glucose. We're already past the colonoscopy, so.
yeah, I was going to say your AARP is probably expiring soon. Probably got
Yeah,
to renew that. But
yeah.
yeah, 79. Offensive, defensive lineman number. Got to like that. I don't know about you. A little chilly
Yeah,
this past weekend. Did not love
at
it.
least.
Working outside Saturday, was not a fan of that. Had to break out the long underwear and the Under Armours this past week or two. But Saturday, man, and then Sunday too was freaking freezing. So very, very cold weekend for me.
Yeah. How about that Bears game, though? We'll touch more in the game, but I think it was like a record low for like the game time temperature or something along those lines. I wish I could get a little bit more um, a little bit more info on that or like context on it. But yeah, crazy, crazy weather we've had. It's been cold here in Chicagoland. So this week it's actually supposed to warm up to be like 30 and 40, which is kind of nice. And melt some of that snow out there.
Yes, and all that snow is just a bunch of ice now. So walking up everyone's driveway, making all these deliveries the past week and a half, it's been fun. I'll tell you that. And some people, just a quick side note here, some people just obviously do not own what's called a shovel. I don't know if I need to spell it out or use it in a sentence. We can always look it up in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
Marion Webster.
Um, get out there, people, right? Help out not only yourself, but your local delivery drivers, right? My goodness, some of these driveways, they're not even that long. Some of them are a quarter mile long, is what I call them. And it's been like an inch thick of ice in some of these driveways. Like, I understand, it snowed, it got really cold overnight, it froze. Throw some salt down, for Christ's sake. Do something. Um,
Yeah, I was
God,
gonna say I always try to get out there with them, make sure it's shoveled at least. But I hope you wear boots too.
I certainly do, and I am actually one of the people that'll wear boots year round. A lot of the other drivers just have like some regular gym shoes and stuff like that. But um, yeah, when you got the weather like this, you don't really have much of a choice. And then yeah, when people don't like to shovel or plow or do any of that, it makes my job even more fun.
Yeah, of course. It's got to keep you on your toes, Dan. Come on.
Quite literally.
Yeah, keeping you on your toes. There were some big moves this week with for the baseball signings. Pete Alonso signing with the Orioles, 5 year, 155. Did we touch on that last week? Actually,
Trying to remember, I know I think we mentioned Brandon Nimmo because I think he was the first domino
maybe we did
for
the
the Mets to
trades, but
fall.
either
We
way,
might have, but yeah,
well, even if we didn't, if we're repeating, oh well. Pete Alonso to the Orioles. I like this signing.
yeah.
It came out of left field because I don't think the Orioles were really a top candidate for them to go out and sign another power bat. Pete Alonso at the top of it. I mean, it was like I felt like it was the Mets or Boston, and then seeing the Orioles come out there and just be like, "Hey, we're going to go out and sign the huge player." Good for them. I think it's going to be a good middle of the lineup, top of the lineup guy for them that'll just help with the switch hitters that they have and gives them a nice little righty lefty balance.
Yeah, Pete is. I mean, he's been one of the best pure power hitters in the game the last 4 or 5 seasons at least.
Yeah.
He's right up there with Judge, Otani, and maybe Schwarber, if I'm not mistaken, is like the top four in the last 5, 6 years or whatever. So the guy posts every year, every day. Um, really good power bat. Another interesting move, right, for Baltimore, going out and getting another guy that hits homers. Taylor Ward was a nice move for them, but we've said this many and many times already. They need arms and lots of them. So getting another bat is interesting, but you know what? They had that young offense last year that struggled, and maybe Pete is can bring some mojo or some of that veteran leadership over there that maybe Baltimore desperately needs. So I like the move
Yeah.
though a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, whenever you can get 30 plus home runs in a year, 35 plus. You can't turn that down, and that's a big thing too. He's been for the last since 2019, since he entered the league. I mean, he hit 53 that first year he was up, which was just insane, and then just
Yeah.
go like rough 1 year after like in 2020. But I think everyone had kind of a rough year that year, but still, nevertheless, great power bat to see end up on in Baltimore, and that just makes the AL East even more fun. I don't think there's ever been a question whether or not the Orioles could be a good offensive team. They just didn't show it last year, and then having a weaker, bullpen, not bullpen, but like just pitching staff in general doesn't really lead you to give them, or doesn't give you too much confidence in them. But I think they can overall be a solid team.
Yeah, and you know what? Real quick too, congrats to Pete on getting his money, right? Because the Mets did not want to pay him. I don't even think they officially made him an offer. So, it,
Yeah,
it, it makes you wonder. Like, he was a great fit not for the team he was on. You have Soto over there who had ended up having a really nice year when you look at his numbers, and Pete's going to do big things in a Baltimore uniform, I think. So good for him. He got what 5 years for like 150. So
yeah.
good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one today, just dropped a couple hours ago. Adolis Garcia going to the Phillies. They were making room overall. They were always gonna kind of go out and sign somebody. That Castellanos, I think, is either a free agent or they're trying to actively trade him. You can never have too many outfielders. That's always my perspective on it too. So interesting landing spot. It's just a 1 year, $10 million deal. And then on the flip side too, Josh Bell going to Minnesota today, 1 year contract as well.
I did see both of these, and I don't want to be too offensive here, mainly to the latter, who you just mentioned, Josh Bell. I wouldn't touch that guy with a 10-foot pole. Um, he sucks. Sorry, Josh. I don't have, I mean, the guy, he's done nothing.
Yeah.
Adolis, you know what? He was a solid player. The last couple years, though, it's been a struggle over there, and I'm wondering. We heard some stuff with Nick Castellanos come out with Rob Thompson as well. They just extended Thompson, I think, a little bit more, so he's sticking around. They brought Schwarber back. We know that, but the Garcia move. I mean, Castellanos. I know his numbers weren't great last year. I'd have to look, but I'm just wondering. I think those. I'm a Castellanos guy. I like Nick. I don't know about you. I like Garcia too. I'm just wondering if the back and forth, maybe with him and Thompson, had something to do with that. Maybe I would have kept Castellanos. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
I think the Phillies had a lot of issues in the locker room. I don't know if they were all, because of Castellanos, but yeah, interesting. I mean, like I said, I don't know if he's a free agent per se, or if they're just really trying to get away from him. I mean, he's 33. I think he signed a pretty solid deal with them too over the years, and his numbers have declined as one would expect after being in the league for as long as he has.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, where he ends up, if he does end up somewhere, will be interesting. I did see a lot of like trade scenarios. People were talking Benintendi for Castellanos because I think it's like a $20 million cap hit for Castellanos this year too. So we'll see.
Okay, all right, interesting.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
It's wild. I saw that. I'm like, okay. Jorge Polanco to the Mets, 2 year deal,
yeah.
40 million. Kenley Jansen to the Tigers. They can never have too many bullpen arms, as you could tell. They're a big team that will, essentially make it a 6 run or 6 inning game for the starters, and then turn it over to a bullpen that's pretty reliable. So he's older, that's for sure. So interesting that they're making that move now.
Real quick, you said Kenley to where?
Detroit,
Okay, that's interesting. That might be the one. I don't think I've. Did that go down today? When did that go down?
the 13th,
Oh no
two
way.
days ago.
That actually, I must have missed that one. Kenley, I like. I was a little shocked the Dodgers let him go a couple years ago because he's had some solid years since then. And then look at the Dodgers bullpen last year. You got Tanner Scott, and he couldn't do anything. Kirby Yates, whatever the heck his name is, he was hurt. He didn't do a whole lot. Blake Trinan is up and down every now and then. So little shock there. like the move for Detroit, I think everyone's expecting a bigger move to potentially happen with the Tigers this offseason. So that's sort of small potatoes to me. But Kenley Jansen's one of the few closers going right now, is potentially on that Hall of Fame highway. The little
Yeah,
hop track is going off right now. And Kenley was a guy. I mentioned him and Craig Kimbrell, too. Kimbrell, I don't know, he might be done now. I don't know if he really
I
pitched a
think
whole
he's
lot,
done.
if
Yeah.
he's done. But, you look at these guys, some of these closers should be in there. I mean, getting into the 400 save club, I think should get you in there. I mean, that means you were a closer for a long time. We have very, very few relievers, closers in the Hall of Fame. And I think even 300 is probably a pretty good enough number. I think four should definitely get you in. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I think that's something that these baseball sticklers need to kind of change their mindset on. I think there's just so many like old school Hall of Fame writers that I don't know. It's these writers, they get to like, oh, it's traditional game. They're probably the ones that would still want to see a pitcher go up there and bunt 90% of the time and not complete it. Still, I know I've brought that up on the past. I really hated when pitchers hit. It was so annoying. Mainly because then I had to deal with the Cubs fans who were like, Zambrano, 12 home runs. Oh. Like, okay, this clown hits one home run or like maybe four in a year. That's a reason to do it. Oh, cool. Keep your fucking four home run balls, you goofballs, and from the north side.
You know what?
I don't
He could hit a couple. I mean, every now and then you get a pitcher that can handle the bat a little bit. And he
know.
was
Yeah,
interesting because he was like a switch hitter too as a pitcher. You're like, where the hell did that come from?
yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
he's like the. I think he might be like the leader too. I think we looked this up the one time that he's like the leader in home runs for like
probably is.
pitchers.
He
I
probably
wouldn't
should
be
have been a
shocked.
hitter.
Probably would have lasted a little longer. Um, but back to another closer, Robert Suarez. Braves are a little bit busy. They went and signed him 3-year deal. That
Big
was
move.
huge. That was a big problem for them last year. Was closing out ball games. Iglesias was okay, but Braves hopefully will come back this year and adding some insurance to their outfield too is Mike Yastrzemski. He went to the Braves 2-year, $23 million deal. That's an interesting team when we break them down a little bit later. You know, in what would you say March? Where they end up this year? Are they going to be like the Mets and kind of fall off, or that division's honestly up for grabs in my opinion, outside of the Marlins.
I've heard a few people already say, and I get it, that it's probably more the Phillies division to go through right now. I just look at
Yeah,
Atlanta's roster though, and I say, man, you're going to have a lot of these position players had some down years this year, right? And that's tough to do to have three, four, five guys in your everyday lineup not performing as highly as you have in the past. I expect that to turn around a little bit. Austin Riley to have a better season. Matt Olson overall. Michael Harris, a big one, also for me in fantasy. Um, all three of those guys do better. And if you have a healthy or at least healthy enough Acuna for the whole season, I think Atlanta's offense is going to do well, like they have in for the last 5, 10 years. And I think with a healthy Sale, Strider's going to be there, and I think Schwellenbach is. I forget if he
yep.
got hurt or if he's going to be. I think he's going to be
I
healthy.
Yep. We'll have to touch base back on that one once
And
February
and
rolls.
then you just mentioned Iglesias at the back end, and now you got Suarez too. Atlanta's going to be back this year, and if they make another move or two, they really start to tilt the scale a little bit more back in Atlanta. I mean, that was Atlanta's division to win for the longest time, and the Phillies the last couple of years have kind of ascended a little bit. But Atlanta, which I think it was just that really bad year last year for Atlanta.
Atlanta's kind of funny in my opinion because I feel like they get a lot of hype just based off of the players that they have, and you know, going back to like the 2018 kind of like when all these guys started coming up, that they started signing those long-term deals, and it was kind of like an arms race with them and the White Sox of like the prospects that they had coming up. And for all the hype that the Braves get, I mean, they have one title. They've made it playoffs a couple times, but they haven't been this team that like I want them to be. I'm not a Braves hater by any means. It's just kind of shocking that I mean, like the last couple of years, had Acuna get hurt, so that obviously hurts them. But I mean, they finished below the fucking Marlins last year. And once again, yeah, you could say all these injuries, but if you're a good team, if you have all these prospects that you want to throw in all of our faces, win. it shouldn't make a difference if you have all these injuries. But yeah, their pitching staff was below expectations. Strider just looked horrible last year.
Yeah, I mean he was coming back from TJ or whatever, so I expect Strider to go back to that strikeout machine that he was this year, get a little bit more innings under the belt. You still have your buddy Chris Sale over there, who's I mean, as long
Yep.
if he stays healthy the whole year, he's going to be up there for a Cy Young when it's all said and done again. And they got other good pitchers over there. I think it comes down to if they're going to be able to one, if those guys can stay healthy. But I think the main thing too is if that offense gets back into form these last few years, Atlanta's going to be right in there.
Yeah, and I think you could obviously make the argument too that the NL Central is not going to have three teams out of it too next year.
Tough to do that. Yeah, I would probably agree with that as well. You know, I don't know. Pittsburgh was rumored to be in on Schwarber. They haven't really done a whole lot so far this offseason. They didn't get him, so they weren't going to get him unless they
No.
went to that. Even if they went to the fifth year, they probably don't get him. But my point is Pittsburgh really going to be that much better next year? I don't think so. But my buddy Jared Jones is going to be back next year with Chandler and Skeens. They're going to be able to pitch it. They got other guys too. Cincinnati, are they going to be any better? They have to make some moves. So if they don't, if St. Louis looks like they might be trying to move Brendan Donovan or other people. So if they move on from some of them, they're going to be a little bit younger and probably not as good either. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Should be interesting though. Anything you want to say before we close out baseball?
I just have one or two questions for you. Where do you think
Yeah.
there's a lot of good free agents still left out there. One of my favorites, probably my favorite. I love Tucker, but Bo Bichette. We've heard that Toronto is very interested in Kyle Tucker. I don't know if they're going to be able to land him, but my main question here is Bo Bichette. Where do you think he lands?
I think back in Toronto. I
You
don't
think
think
they
he's
keep
going to
him?
want to leave there. I think they keep him because I don't know of anyone they have waiting and willing to go take over that position. I know, like in years past, we were kind of talking about, with how bad Toronto was. Is Vladdy going anywhere? He signed his mega deal, and then you kind of go into that same bout with Bichette. But I mean, if Bichette went to somebody like the Yankees, I would laugh. Um, you know, it depends on
It,
who's really looking. Do you have any teams that are linked to him besides Toronto?
well, it's funny. We were just talking about Atlanta. There's been a lot of traction with the Braves and him potentially, and I forget if there's another team or two that's interested in him. I think the main thing for him is where does he want to play, right? Because he played second
Yeah.
base and in the postseason, and a lot of teams are kind of viewing him like, oh, if he's willing to play second, we could be in on him. So I think it comes down to what he wants and potentially how much Toronto's willing to give him too. I'd love to see him stay in Toronto. I think if he went to Atlanta though, just that would be
That'd be fun.
really interesting.
Yeah, because who's their shortstop right now off the top of your head? Do you know?
They had some guy Nick Allen or Nick someone I thought playing
Oh
short,
yeah, Nick Allen played 135 games for him. So
and I don't think
yeah, I
he's an
mean
offensive
that's not
juggernaut.
moving the deal.
So
Yeah, that's not moving the needle for me here. Yeah, I mean Bichette would be interesting. Uh, we'll see, I guess. So okay,
I
that's
got one
Bichette.
more.
What do you
I
think?
got one more.
You think he's going to
Uh,
Atlanta?
I mean, in my heart of hearts, I think Toronto maybe finds a way to keep him. It comes down to Tucker because I think Toronto is willing to up the ante and try to go for Tucker if they can, and if they get him, the rumor is Bichette's probably going somewhere else. So Tucker's the big domino. Uh, just one more guy before we move on, and he might not be the top pitching um, guy, the free agent right now. The one guy I really like though is Michael King. Where do we think
Michael.
Michael King goes? Because we know Frammer, Ranger, love to have those two. They're great. I love Michael King's stuff though, and as long as he's healthy and ready to go, he should have a ton of suitors lining up. Any thoughts on
Probably.
Michael King?
I think he's a good pitcher. I can see him going to like Texas or somewhere random like the Royals, just because I want to throw like a random team in there that could be
Mm.
somewhat competitive.
Kansas City
Texas,
would be interesting.
wouldn't it? Because he could be their ace, realistically. I mean,
They've got some good guys over there too. I mean, Reagan's is pretty solid. They called up that Noah Cameron this year that was good. I think they
Yeah.
still have Seth Lugo who can still spin it, and I think I'm
Yeah,
missing another guy.
Yeah, because Lugo was the guy that everyone was talking that he would be perfect with the Cubs. Then they ended up re-signing him to like a 3-year deal.
Okay, well that is who I was going to mention. How about the Chicago Cubs? How about the North Side? Jedley, if you're listening here, buddy, we've already got a couple of lefties. I don't mind if you want to try to go after Frammer or Ranger, right? I'm totally cool with all three of these guys I'm mentioning. But we got a couple lefties already in the rotation. I like Michael King on the north side of Chicago. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, you guys need to do something. Too busy with the Chris Kringle market or whatever. Chris Kendall. Whatever the fuck.
Hey, it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, all right. That's baseball. Let's swap over to our favorite time with the fastest 2 minutes. When do we start it off?
Thursday. We start on Thursday. That's my new little Thursday night, or we start on Thursday jingle. Just came up with that.
When you get, those those little kazoos, so you make sure you're on pitch, like.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. We start on.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Oh, shit. We start on Thursday, as we always do, where the Falcons enjoy playing spoiler with big games from the captain, Bijan, and Kyle Pitts. Atlanta 29, Tampa Bay 28. Baltimore blanks Burrow's Bengals to keep playoff hopes alive. Baltimore 24, Cincinnati Zippo. Thanks. How about this one? 75 total yards of offense. Jeff, I think it's the time for you and I to hit the practice squad. Philly 31, Vegas Zippo. Jesus. 6 wins in a row keeps Texans 1 game back at Jags for first in the AFC South. Houston 40, Arizona 20. Big win for Chargers. Bigger loss for newly eliminated Chiefs. Chargers 16, Kansas City 13. Bills come back in New England, down 24-7 at half. Buffalo 35, New England 31. Trevor, it's fair to say he'll probably never have a bigger game. Jacksonville 48, Jets 20. Boy, oh boy, am I glad I don't root for the Giants. 29, Washington, Giants 21. That's a good one here. The Bears made Shadur look like Shaturd. I gotta get some pushback on that one. Bears 31, Cleveland 3. Saints mount the fourth quarter comeback and upset the now tied for first place Panthers. New Orleans 20, Carolina 17. Lions defense unable to slow down Rams' potent offense. Rams 41, Detroit 34. Old Man Rivers almost gets the dub over touchdownless Seahawks. Seattle 18, Indianapolis 16. 4 touchdowns by Bobo, coupled with Parsons' injury. Too much for Pack. Denver 34, Green Bay 26. 49ers ecstatic to have Purdy Boy swag back. San Fran 37, Tennessee 24. Vikings pull away with touchdown in fourth and beat Cowboys at home, Minnesota 34, Dallas 26. And we have our Monday night game, Miami at the Steel City, 6-7 Dolphins against the 7-6 Pittsburgh Steelers, 7:15. Be there or be square.
Well done as always. Before we jump in, did you make the playoffs in any of your fantasy football leagues? And this is not a dig, just general question.
No, 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 no. Definitely, I was like a game out in the sleeper league. I think uh, the neighbor's injury really killed me this year, but I just beat my buddy Tom this week by 40 or 50 points at least. I think he's got someone going tonight, but I mean, I got like almost 150 and he's at like 87, so it's over. But I'm not going to have to be doing the punishment, thank God. But yeah, no,
Oh,
no
that's good.
playoffs this year. How about you?
Made I had to buy in 4 leagues, and then I played this. I had 2 matchups this week, one this week, so sitting with 6 semifinals this upcoming
Six.
week, and then obviously
Good
the
Lord.
gridiron one. We'll touch on gridiron to close out the show, but beat Cody this week. As a 6 seed, just kind of mowing through, or actually, it was a 5 seed. That's right. I ended up because I won the last week of the season, made the 5 seed. So still alive, making another semifinal run, and we'll see how far we can go.
You know
But
what? You've
uh,
got six chances, sounds like. So
Yeah, yeah,
get it done.
absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. But that being said, jumping into that Thursday night matchup, that actually put me ahead in quite a few leagues because I have Bijan Robinson with Atlanta
Yeah.
winning 29-26. Crazy game overall. Kirk Cousins had one of his Kirk Cousins moments where he had a really decent game, almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Basically told me to, hey, shut the hell up on this podcast. You're saying I'm washed. I mean, it does help that Kyle Pitts finally broke out. We only waited for Kirk Cousins to throw it his way for like what 5 years, and going into a free agent year. Uh, Kyle Pitts went off for 3 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson, 19 carries, 93 yards. He added 8 receptions for 82 on in the air. This is what you need to do with Bijan. Enough with the Tyler Algier on the goal line bullshit. Just give the man his props, and then let me at least do it for another 2 to 3 weeks for me.
No,
On
Bijan's
the
the
flip
man.
side,
Bijan's
Bijan's
the man.
awesome. Yeah,
And
and then
and
on the flip side, that hurt the Buccaneers too with them losing.
oh,
Not
oh,
good, not good in the standings because obviously you mentioned it. Carolina's right on their heels. It's going to be fun down the stretch because obviously Atlanta's eliminated, but 7-7 across the board.
it's funny because there's a few divisions this year that are just kind of muddling along, right? And that's one of them with Carolina and Tampa Bay, and um, Carolina we'll get into a little bit later. A couple of bad losses for both of these teams. Tampa Bay might be a little banged up, but Atlanta, like you mentioned it, Cousins had a little comeback game here. A little, hey, maybe you benched me a little too early. I don't know what's going on here. He definitely hurt my fantasy league a little bit with that early benching, in my opinion. But hey, that's fine. Bijan's the man. You mentioned it. Kyle Pitts. I mean, my goodness, if we want to start throwing the ball to him, I'm okay with it. I don't have any shares of him, but I don't have to play him most of the time. So give it. Let's get Kirk going. Let's get him back into the rhythm. I think he's got a little juice left in that arm. Maybe I can sell him off for a pick or two or something, and get a little something for the old man.
Yeah, I mean, a couple teams need QBs now, so maybe. Next game, Ravens 24, Bengals nothing. Awful game for the Bengals. Just couldn't get it going on offense. Burrow's kind of looked a little off, in my opinion. A lot of interceptions the last couple weeks. Ultimately it's cost them a game. Maybe not as much this one because they were down, but kind of interesting just to see the Bengals kind of falter. But I mean, they need offensive line help. They need defense help. It should be interesting the next couple of years what we see out of them. But Jamar Chase, 10 for 132. On the flippity flip here, we had Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdowns passing. One to Flowers, one to Rasheen Ali. And then did you see that interception, the pick six?
Yeah, I think I saw the highlight of that.
Yeah, hilarious. In it, like a linebacker picks it off, sees his corner or safety running right behind him. He hands the ball off to him, and he takes it the distance.
Oh, that's
Smart
right. Yeah,
move.
yeah.
Doesn't want to run 100 yards for no reason. So
No.
But that being said, Ravens beat the shit out of them. Kind of muddies the water. I mean, we could put the Bengals to sleep, like I said, I think last week too.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, they are officially eliminated as well. Uh, Baltimore's still alive though.
Baltimore's still alive in a, like I said, a real weird division this year.
Yep, absolutely. Next game, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers win 16-13. Biggest news here, though, Mahomes tore his ACL. This is the biggest injury that they've had to Mahomes probably since his ankle injury a couple years ago. But he's going to be out a significant amount of time. Obviously, he is built differently, so he will recover obviously a little bit quicker than most, I would assume. I wouldn't expect him back before at least week 5. That's just the ballpark number here in my head.
Okay, I'll
So
write
we'll
that down.
see.
Mahomes week 5 next week or next year. Nothing before week 5.
Yep.
All right, I'm writing that down. We're gonna make sure that's checked up. And if that's correct, you should have been in medicine, my friend.
That'd be hilarious, but we'll see. I mean, it might be overzealous. I mean, I would assume maybe it's the, you know, longer, but week 5, just knowing it's Mahomes, he'll try to rush back. That being said, though, I think this is the last season we'll see Travis Kelce, whether he was planning on retiring or not. I think that's pretty much he's not going to go out there and play without Mahomes. That I just don't see that happening. So, Chiefs dynasty, can we say it might be done for a little bit here?
We'll have to see.
With with Mahomes getting hurt, I mean, obviously you had Rice and you had Worthy out there, but without those guys, without Mahomes leading the ship, I mean, they're not going to be a good team. So you almost wonder, do they kind of next year take it easy, don't rush him back, and then you come back 2027, you get one of these young wide receivers, or I mean, they need a lot of
needs a
other
guy.
things, but you kind of rebuild.
He needs a guy. He doesn't have a guy right now.
Rasheed Rice has stepped up. I mean, the last couple of weeks he was insane.
Yeah, but if he's your number 2, you know what I mean? Rasheed Rice would be like, he should be the T. Higgins. He should be your number 2, right? And then, you go out and you either draft or you find a way to bring in a legit number 1 over there. I mean, could you imagine if you had Justin Jefferson, let's say McCarthy doesn't work out and Jefferson wants out. Could you imagine him going over there and working with Mahomes? I mean, you're talking about that dynasty within the first game. They're already back. He's going to have a guy to throw the ball to 10 to 15 times. If he wants 20 times a game, he's going to catch everything. What about that kid in Seattle, just for shits and giggles? In Jigba, with the season he's had? I mean, Kansas City, they need a guy. I'm not saying he's going anywhere. I'm just saying, hypothetically, he needs a guy. He doesn't have one right now. You can see that with some of his stats at the end of the games. You get him a legit guy, they're back.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure. They need a running back too. Their running game was non-existent. I think that put a lot of extra pressure on them. AJ Brown would be interesting too, but once again, we don't know how long Mahomes is going to be out. If he's out most of next year, you don't make a move for AJ Brown per se, because then I mean it'd be tough to sell. Be like, hey, you come in, but I don't think wide receiver per se is the issue there. I think their running game was just non-existent. So you saw a lot of Patrick Mahomes just kind of throwing it too much and taking too many shots that he just didn't have Tyreek Hill and a younger Travis Kelce to rely on. Yeah. But, I mean, Chris Jones on the back end, too. He's getting older. I don't know what his contract looks like. I could see him hanging him up, too. I mean, you never know. You never know with that team, what they're going to end up doing. But you obviously don't like to see the face of the NFL out there hurt. But on the flip side, Chargers, I don't know if the Chiefs defense is just that good or the Chargers just sputter. And I'm not sure which one it is. It could be a mixture of both. But when you look out there and you see that Chargers barely win, they won 16-13. I don't know. Can't get a good judge on them either. I know they'll make the playoffs, but
they're one of those teams that's acquired a lot of wins to this point in the season, right? They're 10-4, and you look up and you're like, am I really scared of the Chargers this year when they get in the playoffs? I don't know. I mean, Herbert just had surgery on his left hand, right? So I don't know how healthy he's going to be once it's playoff time in a few weeks. But yeah, I'm not real. I I'm not too terrified of the Chargers come playoff time.
No, I mean, because you never know which ones you're going to get, too. And that offensive line is banged up to hell. So two of their best linemen are out for the year. Joe Alt's out, and then Rashawn Slater. So
How on
good
God's
luck to
green earth did Joe Alt, of all people, get injured? We talked about how massive of
Nice,
a
too.
human being that guy is. How does that big tree fall down?
Beats me, my friend. Beats me. That being said, though, we'll see what they end up doing if they get lucky and fall into a good wild card round and kind of make it out. Since the Broncos are pretty dominant, we'll touch on them a little bit later. But a team that made an incredible comeback: Buffalo 35, Patriots 31. The
Yeah.
most surprising part about this wasn't exactly the comeback. I'd say it was the fact that they did it when the Patriots are at home. Like you had everybody in the Patriots nation, hanging the banners already that they're winning the division, all this, that, and the other. And, Superman, as we like to call him on the podcast, Josh Allen just put the cape back on and was like, I'm going to take this game over. And they rallied from 21 down at halftime. So, impressive win for the Bills. They definitely needed it. I don't think that they were at this point they weren't a risk to miss the playoffs just because like all the bottom teams kind of fell off already. But
That was a
I
huge
don't
win,
know if
though.
this is huge win. I don't know if this is more of a testament against the Patriots not being able to close that game out or the Bills just being that good. I think we're somewhere in the middle. This was also the first loss off of a bye in the Mike Vrabel era of coaching.
Oh, that's right. He was pretty good at Tennessee, I think, for winning off of a bye. You know what?
Yes.
And it's a tough way to lose too, right? We mentioned down 24-7 at half. You're at home. You're you're looking like, all right, this is probably in the bag. I know you got to come out and play two halves, but um, yeah, Josh Allen. I looked at the stats. I think there were six rushing touchdowns in this game between both teams, right? Cook had two rushing touchdowns. I know that. Henderson
Yep.
had two. Drake May, I think, had two rushing touchdowns. I looked up. I don't think he threw a touchdown. Um,
He did not.
you know
He
what?
threw an interception though.
Buffalo got rolling in the second half and scored a bunch. But my one criticism, maybe this is just me, your quarterbacks need to throw the ball in the end zone. He had two rushing touchdowns, and that's great. He's got to throw one or two with that, though. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just what I'm looking at. But you look up at the end of at end of four quarters, and you didn't throw a touchdown. I don't know. That would be my one
Yeah,
criticism.
I
But
think.
Drake
I
Mays
mean,
looked good all year, though.
yeah, because that's what's going to hold him out of being an MVP for this year. I think Stafford kind of cleared that pretty easily. That's the difference
Yeah,
too, is that he's good. Don't get me wrong. Drake May is going to be a very good QB for the next 20 years if he plays that long. But he doesn't have a
20.
wide receiver one. Stephon Diggs is beyond it. Um,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Diggs is kind of past his prime, but he has some big games. But let's not act like Matt Collins and Keyshawn Butte are going to be his, number one, number two wide receivers going forward. People are going to want to play with Drake May, maybe AJ Brown. I've been saying that too. Vrabel.
AJ
Vrabel's there.
Brown.
That would be yeah,
Whoa.
and it wouldn't cost as much. I don't think it's going to cost as much to grab him and bring him there. But who knows? Maybe Brown wants to go play in a warm climate or play in indoors. But we'll see. We'll see. And then Trevion Henderson, they let him loose, and he ran all over the Bills. So good for him. Good for your team, Dan and Gridiron.
Been great.
But yeah, so it should be interesting to see when they close it out. But this is kind of a boring game just because Daniels was out. But Washington 29, Giants 21. Pretty sure Jackson Dart got checked for a concussion again. They said that out of his 10 games that he's played, he's gotten checked for concussions 5 times.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's no bueno. I did not know that.
He needs to protect himself a little bit more, obviously. So we'll see what ends up happening when it comes to that. But Jackson Dart does look like a solid QB for them. 20 of 36, 2 touchdowns. Doing the most with what he's got. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson's been pretty consistent for him. He got the 1 touchdown. Tyrone Tracy looked decent too. He had a rushing one. But on the flip side, Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt finally got that touchdown and finally had a big day. I mean, I guess it's always a get-right game against the Giants, but two really shitty teams playing against each other. Not much other than that to say.
Yeah, my joke was both of these teams were playing spoiler, right? And one spoiled the other one, just trying to play spoiler. It's just one's got what, like 4 wins, the other one's got 2 on the air. That's the game we want to
Yep,
watch.
exactly. Yep, exactly. Sorry, my dog's just sitting here licking something on the floor. I've just had to like listen to a dog licking something for like the last 10 minutes. I'm like sitting here trying to like tell him to stop. Anyway, back to football. Eagles 31, Raiders 0. Raiders are putrid. Eagles ended Kenny Pickett's career probably. He's not hurt. He just kind of proved how awful he is. It's another get-right game for the Eagles. They really desperately need it. They've been kind of on a skid. Hurts threw 3 touchdowns, 2 to Goddard, 1 to A.J. Brown because you got to keep Brown happy, which is good because I actually just traded for him in one league. Saquon got a touchdown. Other than that, I mean, I feel bad for Bowers. I feel bad for Genty. They don't have a QB. They don't have an offensive line. It's going to take some time for them to rebuild that team.
Yeah, how about Vegas? What do we think about taking a quarterback in this draft? I don't know what pick they have.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to end up with the top 5 pick. It's obviously possible they could take Mendoza, the Heisman winner. I'm sure you saw that this weekend. He won the Heisman. He's out of Indiana. That's the guy that, if the Jets do go that route for QB, I'd be happy with him. He looks solid. All the intangibles are there, so we'll see.
Who's your favorite? Real quick, side note: college quarterback coming out this year. Who's your two? Who are you taking?
There's a few that are on the fence because they're juniors, so we'll see. Mendoza's one. You have Ty Simpson out of Alabama. That's on the fence. He will go probably. He's been pretty solid. And then honestly, it's kind of an up in the air class for QBs, but I mean, it's between him and Simpson. Dante Moore out of Oregon. He's solid,
Heard his name.
young guy. He might be in college though, but we'll see. So
Okay.
he's got the most talent, I would say. If you want a guy that will probably take a year to develop a little bit deeper, you're going with Moore. But if you want a guy that can kind of come in to a better situation, you go with Mendoza. And honestly, if you put Mendoza on the Raiders, that would be pretty sick. He just wouldn't be able to get protected because that offensive line is so bad.
That's what you get for going to Vegas, I guess. But yeah, that's a couple of blowouts, a couple of goose eggs this week, and I need someone to throw the ball to Brock Bowers because he's the best tight end in the league. So let's get someone. Let's go.
Tell me about it. Yeah, talking about a guy that was throwing the ball all over the floor or all over the field. Trevor Lawrence, 6 total touchdowns, 48-20 against the Jets. It was finally enough to apparently fire Steve Wilkes today. Thank you for that. I've only been calling for him to get fired since week 3 because he's been horrible. Yeah, I mean, nothing more to say. I mean, Brady Cook's not the guy. We already knew this. Trevor Lawrence, though, he's looked good recently. He's looked real good. You looked real good, kid. 5 touchdown passes. I mean, granted, it was the Jets. Still impressive to do an NFL game. He had the one. He had 2 of them or 3 touchdowns to NTN too. So nice to see him kind of break up.
Yeah, I traded my buddy Dan to ETN, I think last year or 2 years ago. I think it was last year. And last year he did not. I don't think he played that well. This was probably a nice week for Dan to reap the rewards of ETN. But, not much to say with the Jets. We know that they're going to be picking in the top couple this year, probably taking another quarterback, I guess.
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Possibly.
I think they've got 10 wins, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like they're probably heading towards the playoffs, and we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, their defense looks solid too. Jacksonville is getting hot at the right time, and Trevor Lawrence is kind of listening to the QB whisper and Liam Cohen, so good for him.
Yeah.
Another team that's hot right now, Houston.
Oh yeah.
Who would have thought that? This is something before we break this game down. Who would have thought that the Colts would be starting off 7-1, 8-1? We're talking about them getting the bye potentially. making the playoffs, and then it all came crashing down. Granted, Daniel Jones got hurt, so it's kind of to be expected, but you couldn't put all your eggs in his basket to go
Imagine
far
that too.
anyway.
Do you even know what you just said? Daniel Jones got hurt and then the team got bad. I mean, does that even make sense? It really
No.
doesn't. But yeah, the way that team gelled, I mean, they had a good system, and it's unfortunate that he got hurt. But yeah, I mean, the Colts.
We'll jump
I think
into
we
that
mentioned it
game.
last week.
Yeah,
They're
we'll
they're,
jump into
they're going
that
to be
game.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. But Houston, basically to go full circle with it, you had Houston that's been one of the hottest teams because of their defense and Will Anderson, winning 40-20 against Arizona. Arizona is a putrid team as well. That's a key word of the podcast today. Write that one down, Dan. Putrid. Put it on a t-shirt, sell it. That's what we're saying here on the podcast. Arizona is bad. We knew that. But Texans are good. I mean, CJ Stroud led them to the sixth straight win. Nico Collins had a couple touchdowns, and then obviously that defense, like I said, is just insane. But only 2 sacks. Will Anderson, I talk him up. He didn't really do much yesterday, but Jacoby Brissett does get rid of the ball pretty quickly. If you've been watching for fantasy, that dude's been putting up like 48-point games just because he's thrown for almost 300, 400 yards and 3 touchdowns a game. Granted, they're getting blown out by 40, but still.
Brisket. Yeah, Arizona is not a great team. We heard, I don't know if it was this week or a week or two ago, that Kyler Murray wasn't going to come back for the rest of the year. And, we heard the rumors with him. He's an interesting guy because a couple years ago, when he came to the NFL, he was drafted by Oakland, I think. Not the Raiders, obviously, the Athletics, who are now, sooner than later not going to be the Oakland Athletics. But, he was drafted by the MLB and, got the deal to go to the NFL. You get the NFL money. It's a lot bigger right up front. So decides, hey, I'll go there. And, I don't know if it was the rookie year that was solid, but ever since then, he's been battling some injuries. He's a smaller guy, right? So you're a smaller quarterback. You're probably going to get banged up a little easier than a bigger guy. And he's a mobile guy, so he's doing a lot of running usually. I don't know. I don't know what's next for him, right? I think his time in Arizona has probably come to an end. It looks like they're done with that experiment.
I have a
And
team. I have a team for you that he'll probably go to
all
if
right, give it to me.
Arizona makes him available.
What do you got?
The team that we were mentioning that needs a quarterback, Vegas.
I mean,
Imagine him with once again, they do not have an offensive line, so that'll be
yeah.
something they need to address. But imagine him with Genty and Bowers. The possibilities are there.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to imagine it, but again, he hasn't been that great. So it's tough for me to imagine that. I mean, that's probably the quicker fix if you can make a deal for him, and then if you can somehow keep this first round pick and go up there and upgrade the offensive line with a stud or something, and then maybe use another couple picks to upgrade it. Maybe, if you can protect Kyler, he can show you something. But I don't even know. He's a tough one for me because, like I said, I've seen good from him, and I've also seen not a whole lot. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, though, the quarterback, if Arizona decides to get a younger guy, you've got a guy in Marvin Harrison. You've also got McBride. Um, a couple of teams, not great, but you've got some pieces to work with. So
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens going forward. But Texans also rounding it back out, pretty good team, hot at the right time. Colts might miss the playoffs because of this. We'll see. Moving into that Colts game, Old Man Rivers coming out of retirement. He is officially a grandpa too. He is a father of 10. I'm just rattling off some fun stats for you on that one. Between him and Cromartie, they're just building armies of their children here. Anyway, Seahawks. I don't know. I mean, so here's the thing with the Colts. Their defense is still pretty solid. Buckner's out, so that does play a big effect to it. It's a kind of a warm up game, getting old bones Rivers going. But I will have to say, nothing brings me more joy than Phillip Rivers being down, leading a charge in the fourth quarter in an afternoon slate game. It's about 4 or 5 o'clock Central Time, and you see Old Man Rivers out there just kind of trying to lead a comeback. It brings joy to my heart.
Now, is he? I know he's got a ton of kids. Is he actually a father of 10? Can we confirm that?
Yeah,
All right, and can we
yeah.
confirm the
I
grandpa?
already know that one is. Yeah, allegedly he's a grandpa too.
Holy shit! That might be the first expletive in the
And
pod.
one of his sons is getting recruited for like college as a quarterback.
I'll tell you. Um, when I heard that they were bringing him out to the practice squad a couple days ago, this past week, I'm like, oh my god, they're really going back a ways. He didn't play bad, and they almost beat a Seattle team, like you said. I mean, my goodness, you can't get in the fucking end zone once against the Colts. You got 11 wins, I believe, on the season. You barely were able to win this game. You know who Seattle hoisted on their shoulders after? Jason Myers, because Sam Darnold couldn't fucking do
I know.
anything. So, Myers, solid kicker, but my goodness, this is not the showing that you want if you're Seattle. We got a couple weeks left. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this Thursday night they have the Rams. That's not the way. I mean, look at how
Yeah,
high the Rams are scoring 41 points. Seattle couldn't even get in the fucking end zone. This might be an ass whooping.
you're right. It very well could be just based off of Darnold's track record against McVay, essentially going back to
Uh,
his time in Detroit. Didn't look good, but yeah, I mean, Seahawks are running into the Rams at the right time because they're starting to get a little banged up. Devontae Adams has that hamstring injury too. We'll touch more on that team a little bit later, but this could be the time for the Seahawks to kind of like step up and like, hey, let's go time. I mean, their run game is non-existent. I don't know if that falls on Darnold or if it falls on their offensive line. I don't watch enough Seahawks games to know. I just know Kenneth Walker was supposed to be this hot shot this year. Everybody always says, "Oh, he's going to do this. He's going to break out this year." Still has yet to do so.
you know what the problem is?
So we'll see.
They need to feed Zach Charbonnet. That's what they need to do. I drafted him,
He
got him in sleeper.
he I think
Let's get him
yeah, he's
going.
always good. Yeah,
Let's get him going. I mean, you know
I
what?
agree
Kenneth
with you.
Walker's good too, but fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. And then JSN obviously has just been so good this
He's
year.
unreal.
Yeah. All right, and then yeah, we'll see what they already came out and said Philip Rivers is starting Monday night, so we get one more Rivers game at least. Um, so we'll see. All right, next game. Let's do Green Bay at Denver. I think this is just a props to Denver that they have acclimated to that playing in Denver. Essentially, I mean, I know the team. That sounds funny to say, but those players, when they just don't lose at home. Simple as that. And Packers, they lost. So Broncos threw a bone to the Bears. It's going to be
They
a big
did.
Saturday night game coming up at home. Let's see what the Bears can do. We'll break that game down. We'll do a little preview before we close it out. But yeah, Broncos 34, Packers 26. Bo Nix 4 touchdown passes. Parsons towards ACL, he's done. That's definitely a good news for the Bears. And you don't wish injuries on people. We're gonna keep
No,
it
of course
clean
not.
here. Root, we don't root for injuries, but let's
It
just say
helps.
that came at the right time for the Bears. It does
It
help.
helps.
And their wide receivers, they're all over the place for the Packers. That's the biggest problem. They have like 7 wide receivers, and I'm pretty sure Christian Watson got hurt again.
Boy, he's been banged up the last couple of years, and he's supposed to be, I think, the number one receiver over
I
there
feel like,
now.
yeah, and you know what? I don't know if it's a serious injury, but yeah, last couple of years he's been hurt. But we've said it enough times now that I'm saying it. These teams are so banged up already going into the playoffs. I mean, like AFC, I couldn't tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl or make the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Broncos sure as hell are looking like it though, just because that defense is nasty. Sertan is basically a no-fly zone, and Cortland Sutton stepped up, and obviously when you have Bo Nix slinging it like that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned how good Denver's been at home this year because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only team with 12 wins. So if they find a way to get that number one overall seed, right, everything it's going to AFC is going to go through Denver, and whether you think Denver's the best team or
Yeah,
not, Denver's probably one of the tougher places to play as an opponent. You're just not used to the altitude. So
Right.
that really makes the AFC
Exactly.
very interesting. And you mentioned Green Bay too. Quickly on them, they threw us a bone, like you said. They weren't able to get the job done. That was a big game. That might have been the biggest game of this entire week. I mean, there were some big games out there. Don't get me wrong, but for Denver to win that game, to be the only team in the NFL right now with 12 wins, and for Green Bay to lose that game, relinquish first place in the division, I believe, back to the Chicago Bears by a half a game. And
Yeah.
if we beat them this week in Chicago, we got a game and a half lead with 2 games left. Boy, this NFL season is getting good at the right time.
Yeah, it's real fun to watch, definitely, and it's been a roller coaster the last couple of weeks. You come in to that Packer game, 1 seed for the Bears, and then you lose last week, and then you drop down to 6, and you heater back up. It's like watching I don't know, riding a roller coaster at Six Flags. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank the Broncos for that one, everybody. All right. Carolina, New Orleans. Carolina couldn't take advantage of playing New Orleans. Tyler Shaw is kind of making that team look decent suddenly. I mean, they're not good. He's not putting up massive numbers, but he's doing enough to help that team win. I mean, they only have 4 of them, but since he's taken over, they've looked a little better. A little better. No run game per se. Devin Neal, he had the touchdown, but he got hurt. Chris Olave kind of been consistent with 685 and 1. On the flip side, Bryce Young just will not throw the fucking ball to Tet McMillan. I do not understand. I don't understand that. Like, I can't start Tet McMillan. I have to, but I can't. All my wide receivers are hurt or they're so inconsistent through their QB play. It's kind of insane. It's
You
insanity.
know,
Like going into a match.
I like so I wrote down putrid for your T-shirt idea, but I like what you just said. I have to, but I can't. That's a good one. I'm writing that down. I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make one for myself too. I
Perfect.
have to, but I can't. Yeah. Who are we on right now? We're on New Orleans, Carolina. Yeah.
Carolina and New
Another bad
Orleans.
loss, right, for that division too. Carolina and Tampa Bay. These were games that it felt like both of them were going to win and needed to win, and they both find a way to lose them. So that division is so up in the air. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and they lost to New Orleans earlier in the year too, which is kind of crazy to think with how good they've been playing this year. They
Yeah.
lose these games. It's just they beat the fucking Rams, they lose to San Francisco, which you would kind of expect them to lose to San Francisco, and then they lose the Saints. It's like, okay, it's going to be interesting coming down the stretch when they face Tampa Bay for sure. But moving into San Francisco and Tennessee, this game wasn't as close as it made it seem score wise. Brock Purdy came back, had his get right game against a really bad Titans team,
Hmm.
37-24. Uh, I think it just speaks volumes to how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan is, and just overall, Robert Salah has made that defense kind of sound again, even with 2 major outages being out there without Bosa and Warner. I'd like to say that Cam Ward hasn't looked completely terrible recently. I think he's actually looked kind of serviceable, to be honest with you.
Now he's actually had a few weeks, like you said recently, where he's put up a few points, at least fantasy wise. And again, that's another team where he does not have a lot of compliments around him, if you will. So Tennessee, if they're
Yeah.
able to get him someone to throw the ball to, or God forbid, maybe a second guy to throw the ball to as well, you could have something, maybe a little something, a start or something there. Dare I say?
Yeah, and this is the draft to do it. Lots of good wide receivers for sure. Moving into the primetime game of primetime afternoon game, Rams and Lions, 41-34. I'd say down the stretch, this game was pretty much in hand. The Rams were winning. The score wasn't as close as it made it seem, but Stafford rallied. They were down going into halftime, and then they put up 17 in the third. That's impressive, but this is why Stafford is my MVP candidate. He did throw almost a pick six to Aiden Hutchinson to lead off the game. Goff did everything he could on the opposite side. I think they talked about it in the pregame that the games that they've lost, Jameer Gibbs hasn't scored. And what
Hmm.
happened yesterday? 13 for 38 and 0. So he was non existent. Whether that was the Rams' game plan, whether that was the play calling, not getting him involved enough, we'll see. But it was an Amon-Ra St. Brown game, 13 for 164 and 2. And Puka Nakua, 9 receptions, 181. He's unguardable. Like he's his own worst enemy with his health, obviously, and not in a mean way, but like the dude gets banged up. So we'll see what ends up happening long term. But like I said, Adams is out. They have Seattle this Thursday. What do you got for me?
I've mentioned this on the pod. I mean, those receivers that he has to throw to on the Rams. I mean, they're all good. But Detroit, I think you mentioned it with Gibbs. Yeah, I mean, you don't get him going. Gibbs has had a bunch of monster games this year. Once they said, okay, we're going to just let him go, Montgomery might have gotten hurt or missed a game or something, and he runs for like 200 yards, and you're like, okay, well, if he can do this, maybe we'll let him touch the ball a little bit more. And yeah, it was kind of that, once the Rams took the lead, they were like, oh, Detroit's going to try to come back. All right, we're going to score again. They just didn't let Detroit come back. So that's the type of offense the Rams have. They look like this. It's going to be tough to beat them.
Absolutely. And they're more likely than not getting that 1 seed. And to close this out, we had Minnesota taking on Dallas, kind of not fully, but ending the Dallas Cowboys' hopes for making the playoffs. J.J. McCarthy, again, had a decent game. Granted, this is a plus matchup for QBs going into it because Dallas just, their secondary is horrible. Or word of the day, putrid. But he had the 1 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. He hit the gritty on one of them.
There you go.
Once again, just he spreads the ball. And it's kind of funny because he spreads the ball to everybody but Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Now, Jefferson had 8 targets. He dropped probably 4 balls yesterday. It was insane. I was sweating that game out going into my quarterfinal matchup in Gridiron. Cody had Jefferson and Jones going. So it was a tight matchup. Ended up pulling away, obviously. Thank you to J.J. McCarthy for not throwing it to Justin Jefferson. So anytime you see that, you have to thank him for it. So Dallas is kind of an interesting team, like I said, but Dak, no touchdown passes, so not good.
No bueno. This was a game with a couple of teams that are not making the playoffs. So they both had a couple of wins. Good to see McCarthy look decent though. Throw for 250, whatever it was. A couple of touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. So good for myself having a little ownership of my boy JJ. Need a big year from you next year, kid.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And to close this out, obviously we have the Gridiron Throne Fantasy League. Like I said, I'm moving on into the semifinals. Business as usual. I've missed the playoffs 1 year in the last 5. I've made the championship enough times. We're 1 step away from keeping that streak going. There was a lot of talk about rebuilds in here. And, we snuck our way into the playoffs, and we got Pat this week. It's going to be a tough matchup. He's got some good players. We'll see where we go.
You snuck in by the skin of your teeth. And now the thing is,
I did.
All that matters is you got in, and now you got to run the table.
Yep, and that's what we're fucking doing too. So one more win, 1 win at a time. Like I said, it was really nice though not having to worry about a Monday night game. I was so happy about that. Usually a lot of my matchups have come down to like watching that Monday night game. Now I can just kind of ignore this matchup tonight.
Yeah, now you can have a normal poop tonight. You don't have to have the nervous shits, with all that. So now you can just kind of relax and watch the game with a drink in hand and go from there, I guess.
Exactly. All right. Any closing thoughts?
79. Next Monday, 80. So be there, or I guess be square again, right? 80 episodes next week. Who would have thought?
80, the Jerry Rice episode.
Jerry!